Museveni detested birth control measures, urging Ugandans to desist from superstition. We have more.
For nearly 60 years, Uganda's population has been steadily increasing. From 9.5 million people in 1969, 12.6 in 1980, 16.7 in 1991, 24.2 in 2002, 34.6 in 2014, and now 45.9 in 2024.
During the first 2 days,
This is according to the National Housing and Population Census recently conducted in the country.
Meaning there is an increase by 11.3 million in the last 10 years. Now that number has refugees. So those are the refugees that were found on the census night in Uganda. 780,061.
According to the preliminary census report, the population growth rate stands at 2.9%, down from 3.0 in 2014. The youth make up the largest portion of Uganda's population. This confirms the country's position as one of the areas with the youngest population in the world.
We have many younger people. From the age 0 to 17 years is 50.5%. The youth 18 to 30, they are 22.7%. Older persons, the ones that the Honorable Jidudu represents, is 5%.
At birth, more males are born compared to females. Actually, the sex ratio at birth is estimated that for every 100 females, there are 105 males who are born. But in life, more males die compared to females for biological, social, and environmental reasons, which if we had time, we would tell you.
Such population growth rate is not a burden to the country, but an opportunity for economic growth. President Lauryn Masika officiated at the release of the preliminary census report.
The children in the pre-capitalist society, in our traditional society, the children were also laborers. They were workers. You have many children. Kukwereze mikono, the Wanyankole say. Kukwereze mikono, to give you hands to work. So the one with many children had more workers.
Museveni does not believe in birth control measures, but rather making people live longer.
You fellows who don't know our society, I don't know what we can do for you. You go with these foreigners, they tell you lies, you follow them as if you don't have your own base. So when they were saying population, birth control, I don't know what, injections, I don't know what, we said no, this is not the problem. The problem is, first of all, medical. Have a reliable medical service so that people know that even if you have one child, he will not die unless there is an accident.
Museveni urges the public to desist from ancient superstitions and embrace developmental projects to match the rising population growth.
You need to change the organic structure of the society to start pushing for new ideas. Not simply say, have less children, this one here. Because even that belief that we don't want to be counted is actually partly part of that problem. Because our people here believed that when you count children, they will die. Nokungura. Why do you count people? That idea is not as simple as it looks. Some of them, of course, are abusing it. But others believe that counting will bring extrani.
The 2024 National Housing and Population Census was conducted between May 10th to 27th. The preliminary report is not yet conclusive, according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Henry Okrut, UBC.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has attributed the non-implementation of Masulita model of free education to greed during celebrations of First Lady Janet Museveni's 76th birthday at Masulita Children's Village organized by UWESO. President Museveni appreciated her for the idea of looking after the vulnerable children and her exhibition of a corruption-free leadership in her service as Minister for Education and Minister for Karamoja.
At Masulita, I must say that I have been humbled at 76 to see better the goodness of God. And I'm also grateful to the people who have organized this day and who chose to bring all of us to Masulita to celebrate my birthday. Thank you for honoring me. You may have been invited, but you didn't have to come. You had to apportion the time to drive the distance from town to this humble village in Masulita. And I thank you from my heart for doing that just to honor me. Thank you so much, friends, and I call all of you friends, for choosing to obey God's call and make the time to travel from town and come. Let me first of all thank Him who has given me the gift of life and time on this earth. He has given me time to collect the blessings of experience and to develop empathy. He has enabled me to understand the long view, the eternal perspective of hope in our Lord Jesus Christ. And it has impacted the value of my time on earth. Therefore, I thank Him because I know that long life is a blessing not given to all people. But I want to just give you a reason why UWESO, how come UWESO?
Now, government, through the National Agricultural Advisory Services, has given out 500 heifers to farmers in Busoga sub-region as part of the government's program to alleviate poverty in the region. The Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, officiated at the handover of the heifers to the beneficiaries from the different districts of Busoga in Iganga municipality.
Zainab Nachisige, a mother and a resident of Iganga district, depends on farming to make a living and education of her children. Despite several government interventions to alleviate poverty from Busoga, the region remained ranked one of the poorest. As part of the government interventions to fight poverty in Busoga, the region's members of parliament appealed to President Yoweri Museveni to provide them with heifers to deal with the problem.
Wetuba tutambuire nga tuna twesise walala kitegeeza nti idatambula bulungi kubanga olwaleero twidye ku programu ya nte recently twali ku programu ya mbago kule twali programu ya mabati
bazaino honorable minister bwino because wagabaza yerabire ya mu wempambo nti mwa yasalawo mwamuwa directive to look for those animals. Honorable Minister Bwino babuzanga kyokoze okoze ebintu bingi enguudo nachi aye above all you made it.
This special intervention of Busoga sub-region is being coordinated by NADS under the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries.
President Museveni neyalagira ministry yange okuleeta ebyayo mu Busoga awutasana awo ate yalagira lufainuma lwa member ba parliament okumutuukirira.
NADS was provided with funds to procure heifers as an alternative source of income for farmers in these regions, and the Minister of Agriculture asked NADS to procure 500 heifers for distribution to farmers in this region.
The handover ceremony saw beneficiaries from various districts in Busoga receiving the heifers with gratitude and optimism. The Prime Minister Robin Anabanja said the heifer intervention for Busoga sub-region is in line with the government program for wealth creation, a foundation for building wealth and improving quality of life for people of Busoga.
Intervention by government in the area of livestock is aimed at increasing production and productivity of priority livestock for improved household food, nutrition and income security, as well as export earnings in the case of livestock and livestock products such as milk and beef.
The heifer distribution project will also extend to the regions of Bukedi and Chigezi. Mary Namkose, Jingo Francis, ABC News.
Now, in more news this evening, the Minister of Education, Janet Kataha Museveni, has applauded the great contribution made by water, sanitation and hygiene WASH in schools programs to enhance adolescents-friendly school environment. It was in her statement read by State Minister for Primary Education, Dr. Muriku Kaduchu, in a closing ceremony for the Koika UNICEF Water, Sanitation and Hygiene in Schools program in the Karamoja sub-region held in Lomukura Primary School in Kotido District.
100 schools across the 9 districts of Karamoja have benefited in water, sanitation and hygiene WASH in school program. It was supported by Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, and UNICEF. WASH program focused on sustained improvement and access to and use of safe drinking water, improved sanitation and personal hygiene practices in primary and secondary schools in Karamoja, with main focus on girls.
Each of these 100 schools, we will put 2 units of toilets, one for girls and one for boys. And for each unit, there will be access to children with disability. And in each unit for girls, there will be a shower and a safe place, a private place for girls to be able to change their sanitary bags.
The Minister for Education, Janet Kataha Museveni, in her speech read by the State Minister for Primary Education, Muriku Kaduchu, applauded the great contribution made by WASH program in improving hygiene in schools.
Through ensuring schools in Karamoja have the required WASH facilities. For instance, gender inclusive and disability friendly water, sanitation and hygiene facilities in schools. This has enabled girls to attend school full-time and to reduce dropout rates.
Janet Museveni asked district education officers to allocate funds towards a major maintenance of water systems in schools from the ministry maintenance budget. Koika Country Director called on stakeholders to ensure facilities are used in a good way.
The beneficiaries utilize these facilities, I believe. So I strongly urge the stakeholders, the community members, the school participants, and also the political leaders to take good care of these facilities.
Karamoja Minister Peter Lokeris say good school environments attract more learners in school.
Provisions encourage children to come to school and stay at school and continue studying.
Learners thanked partners for improving school attendance and completion through WASH program.
We now bathe regularly. Girls can now wash and dispose sanitary pads safely. Our dormitories now appear clean. There is plenty and available.
Parliament will on Tuesday next week break off from the ongoing recess to consider the returned Appropriation Bill 2024. The President returned the bill, which seeks to allow government to spend funds from the Consolidated Fund to finance the 72.136 trillion budget for financial year 2024-25. The President questioned how some funds to the tune of 750 billion were reallocated by MPs without a formal process. The move by the President has caused mixed reactions by the members of Parliament, as some have questioned the spirit. Daniel Mugoya has the details.
On May 16, 2024, Parliament passed the Appropriation Bill 2024 to allow government spend funds from the Consolidated Fund to finance the forthcoming financial year activities.
The ayes have it.
With days left to the start of the financial year 2024-2025, President Yoweri Museveni, in his wisdom, disagreed with some of the contents of the bill.
We are waiting to get his comments so that we can understand his wisdom or otherwise in returning this bill.
Reliable information shows that the President was disturbed by the reallocations, which the Executive was unaware of, amounting to 750 billion, after members of Parliament informally shifted the funds.
When you present the first draft, which is called the Budget Framework Paper, in December, that draft must have a total ceiling, the total budget. In this case, it was 52 trillion, but it changed to 72. When you raise these matters, the Speaker of Parliament will side with the government. The NRM MPs will do so. So I am really very happy that Museveni is now snapping them. They need to follow the law.
Kira Municipality MP Ibrahim Semujunganda has provoked the majority side of Parliament over allegations that the House has continuously abused the budget procedure.
This year's budget, my conclusion on it was that this is the most chaotic budget processing in the history of Uganda. Laws are not being followed.
The government chief whip Hamson Obua refutes claims that the president's move disrespects the procedure of Parliament. Obua clarifies on the constitutional provision which paves way for areas of dissent between the executive and Parliament.
So what is happening is a constitutional process, is a constitutional requirement, is a constitutional provision that is anchored in our national constitution under Article 91.
Legally, the President has 30 days to assent into law a such bill of Parliament, but remains with the mandate to return any bill in case of dissatisfaction. Obua calls the status a collective responsibility to ensure proper due diligence before the funds are spent.
But this time round, the President indicated while addressing the nation at Kololo during the State of the Nation's address while he was opening the fourth session that for the first time, the three organs of government or of the state were able to meet through their respective leadership. And the budget that was presented to a tune of 72 trillion, what was agreed, implying in terms of checks and balances, all was done within the law or formally and informally, because this meeting is not something which is stated in the law.
Also notably is the fact that the President has returned the Appropriation Bill 2024 at a time when Parliament is on spot over allegations of corruption. The dilemma has since witnessed handful members of Parliament being arrested.
Even the items for which Parliament reallocated the money. Look at the list. National Medical Store has money to buy medicine. I can see some foolish people celebrating. Is that medicine going to treat MPs? So the fight here is not moving money from one item to another. The fight is who has the final say.
Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
The Ministry of Education and Sports inspection team has issued a notice of closure of boarding section of Chitebi SS if the school does not comply with the set guidelines of boarding. The ongoing inspection follows a series of fires which have resulted into loss of property and life and the increasing number of illegal boarding facilities in the country, with many flouting required minimum standards.
At ABC Primary School, the boarding facilities were horrible with hardly any aeration, toilet facilities unfit for usage, and the school is located next to a foul-smelling drainage channel. The storied building used as classes is wooden, and classes had been turned into dormitories.
The certificate it has got expired of recent. They have not renewed its registration. Because of its poor hygiene, rehabilitated buildings, everything is in a mess. Now the ministry officials who are here together with KCCA, Education Department, Rubaga Division, we have called parents who have their children in boarding section to come and pick their learners.
At Valley View, the school is not registered and without an educational management information system, therefore all pupils are not known officially by the Education Ministry. And also to sour the matter, the school is located in a wetland.
We have found out that this school is operating in a wetland, which is unacceptable, which is not healthy for our children. As you can see, they even litter. There is a classroom.
We closed it. It has never acquired even MS number. So the Ministry of Education and Government do not recognize those children. And we are not sure whether the teachers who are there are really teachers. So we have ordered the schools to be closed. 3 schools have been ordered to be closed. And 1 secondary school, we have ordered the boarding section to be closed until they are there to the basic minimum requirements.
We have issued a closure, notice of closure immediately for the boarding section.
At Living Grace Primary School in Kabwa Lubaga Division, the school proprietor uses slum buildings as classrooms and dormitories. To worsen the situation, we found a live wire of electricity passing on the bed of a pupil in a dormitory. The garages and gatekeeper rooms are used as classes as well. His defense that the school is helping low-income earners was unconvincing to the inspection team.
And in one of the schools, the naked wires were in the beds, that any time the children are at risk. And we ordered the schools to let the children today leave the school, and they continue to operate in there.
At Victory High School in Kabusu, the school has 1-storied building used as both classes and dormitories for learners. The school has no operating license, no education management information system from the Ministry of Education to capture official records of learners and staff. The boarding section at Victory High School in Kabusu has been given up the end of this term to close. It was also evident in all these schools the banned triple-deckers were still in use, no sick bay, and sanitation was found wanting.
So we have ordered the schools to be closed. 3 schools have been ordered to be closed. And 1 secondary school, we have ordered the boarding section to be closed until they are there to the basic minimum requirements.
Crispus Arinitwe, UBC News.
Very jaw-dropping situations in those schools. Thank you, Crispus Arinitwe, for that report. Now, in more news this evening, residents of Nansana and surrounding areas have this Thursday been served with eviction notices ordering them to vacate in a period of 21 days or risk being forced out of the protected Lubiji wetlands. We have more details in this report. Now, we'll be back with that particular story, but we continue with the Anti-Corruption Court has released the former executive director of Mulago Hospital, Dr. Byaruhanga, on a cash bail of 10 million Uganda shillings and stringent bail terms. The court has also released his 7 co-accused on bail, but cautioned them not to interfere with investigations and witnesses in this matter, threatening to cancel their bail should they fail to comply.
The former executive director of Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Byalugaba Baterana, together with other 7 co-accused, battling with the charges of abuse of office and causing financial loss to government of over 10 billion shillings, appeared at the Anti-Corruption Court for ruling on their bail application. Magistrate Abadi Asimwe, after reviewing Dr. Byalugaba's sureties and application, was satisfied and released him on a cash bail of 10 million Ugandan shillings. However, the court set stringent bail terms.
He shall surrender his original passport. Condition number 2, 3, the applicant shall not leave this country without knowledge and permission of this court. The applicant, who is you, Dr. Byalugaba, you are cautioned to desist from temptations of interfering with prosecution witnesses when the case is being heard.
Being the head of accounts at Mulago Hospital, Kataha Edward was also released on a cash bail of 10 million Ugandan shillings.
The applicant shall not leave this country without knowledge and permission of this court. Each of the sureties is also bonded in the sum of Uganda shillings 100 million. Desist from temptations of interfering with the investigation or witnesses of the prosecution, as this will lead to automatic cancellation of bail.
Although the prosecution had wanted court, counsel surety Stephen Asera, MP for Buhanguzi Kikube district, as surety for Dr. Byalugaba Baterana, due to his failure to appear in court, court declined to grant the request. Court has also issued a criminal summons against Batanda Perez and Nyeko Posiano, who have failed to appear in court. In this case, Dr. Byalugaba Baterana is accused of abuse of office and causing financial loss to government of over 6.3 billion shillings. Some of the fraudulent acts committed by the accused, which led to multi-billion loss, included the purported supply of consumables for non-existing autocraves. The accuser also said to have caused multiple payments totaling to 1.7 billion shillings to Setramaco International Limited for the alleged relocation and installation of multi-iron and steam cooking pans from Lower to Upper Mulago. Despite these activities having already been paid by the hospital, prosecution alleges that the 8 committed these offences between 2015 and 2020. All the charges against the accused carry a maximum sentence of 21 years. The court resumed on 5th August 2024 formation. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Apologies on that. That is Dr. Byalugaba Baterana, who is the former executive director of Mulago Hospital, who's just been released on bail on a 10 million Uganda shillings bail. Now, in more news this evening, the Minister for Lands and Housing and Urban Development, Judith Nabakova, has noted that government under her ministry has embarked on the process of cancelling all land titles issued on protected areas such as wetlands and forests. Nabakova has made these remarks while inspecting USMID projects in Chiriandongo district, as well as handing over 2,000 freehold land titles to the locals.
The 2 days working visit for the Lands Minister, Judith Nabakova, in Bunyoro sub-region has seen her inspect a 2.1 kilometer road which was currently under construction in Chiriandongo district, a project facilitated by World Bank under USMID. She later proceeded to hand over freehold land titles to over 2,000 beneficiaries.
And in this particular area, we have more untitled land.
The land titles issued under the World Bank the lead project of systematic land adjudication and satisfaction, have been handed over at an event held at Nyamahasha Stadium in Bweyare Town Council, Chinyandongo District. This time around, government placed emphasis on refugee communities.
These titles, it is part of the NRM commitment in our manifesto, but also government commitment to ensure land tenure security for the local people, for the common persons who may not be in position to title their land.
The local leaders welcomed these projects.
Will go along, even supporting other projects or government and programs.
At this event, Minister Nabakova warned locals against encroaching on wetlands and forest reserves, thus revealing that her ministry has embarked on cancelling all land titles issued on such areas.
And as a ministry, we have started the process of cancellation of those titles that were issued either in error or that were got fraudulently.
According to Nabakova, the move supplements the efforts of preserving the environment. Lydia Chomkama and Robert Onyago, UBC News.
UBC News tonight. Now, the World Health Organization, in collaboration with Ministry of Health, has released a report on Uganda's health workforce with findings indicating that there are a number of gaps to be closed in order to improve healthcare service delivery. The Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, launched the report in Kampala and highlighted the need to prioritize the recruitment of key cadres in all public health facilities for Ugandans to access quality services.
This was the launch of the analysis report of the health labour market in Uganda with the aim to use evidence to inform investment in the health workforce. Challenges surrounding training, recruitment and retention of health workforce took center stage as report findings show that staffing levels average is 75% and training dominated by the private sector.
There is need to train human resources, or they call them human commissioner, human resource, or human resource personnel that understand the health workforce.
The analysis report of the health labour market has recommended, among other things, implementation of the legal and regulatory frameworks to guide health workers' planning, management, distribution, education and retention.
But the most important thing is really the performance management, making sure that the human resource for health is also as effective and productive as any other workforce, to see that the performance in our facilities, the availability, the quality of interventions and the skill at play is the right skill mix. But we noted that we cannot do this alone as Ministry of Health. We need to get on the table and discuss really meaningfully who is playing what role and how do we play it, and how do we really effectively discuss and collaborate.
The report further recommends that for Uganda to achieve adequate equitable distribution and high-performing health workforce, there is need for strong governance, financing and collaboration.
We expect all stakeholders to contribute to building consensus on the way forward to optimize the health labour market in Uganda with a focus on sustaining health workforce investment.
The demand for health care workers depends on a number of things. The priorities which you are responding to, the priority healthcare and the way you design your health system. So you find that we have expanded the surgical interventions, particularly for saving lives of mothers and people who are in emergency.
Sudat Kaye and Adiana Kuti, UBC News.
The Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, is wholly owned by the government of Uganda and was established to safeguard and promote Uganda's commercial interests in the petroleum sector. UNOC has two subsidiaries, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, URHC, which will hold a 40% stake in the 60,000 barrel per day refinery and manage the development of Kabalega Industrial Park, and the National Pipeline Company Limited, NPC, in charge of pipelines, storage, and downstream business ventures. This subsidiary holds 15% interest in the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP. EACOP is a 1,445-kilometer long pipeline that will transport crude oil through 10 districts in Uganda to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. UNOC is also actively engaged in crude oil exploration, development, and production activities, and its participation role includes a 15% stake in the Tilenga, Nwoya, and Bulisa, and Kingfisher development projects, Chikure. UNOC also holds the exploration license for Kasuruban Block in Hoima, Bulisa, and Masindi. UNOC currently owns and manages the Ginger Storage Terminal and will build a 320 million litre capacity terminal in MPG called the Kampala Storage Terminal. At UNOC, we're harnessing the potential of Uganda's petroleum resources, forging a sustainable future and preserving the natural beauty of Uganda. UNOC, your partner in Uganda's oil and gas industry.
Amanya gange nze Namutebi Sharon nga nkolera wano wennyini Saka Kirombe oba Makindye. Empangula gye nawanguddemu ssente mbadde nga nkozesa mobile money nga nsindika school fees w'omwana ku ssomero. Okutegeera nti mpangudde, nze mu mutima neegambye nti kambalinde bamale okujja ndyoke nzikirize nti mpangudde. Kyennyinza okubagamba nti si byabafere, weewaawo abafere gye bali, naye ennamba eri emu yokka era bw'eba ekukubidde omanye eyo si yabafere. Mpulira bulungi nnyo 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 era ndi musanyufu nnyo. Naye MTN mobile money mbebaza nnyo, mwebale nnyo, mwebalire.
Together, we're unstoppable.
The Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda was established by the Government of Uganda with a mandate to pay depositors a protected limit of 10 million Uganda shillings in the event that their financial institution is closed by Bank of Uganda. Accordingly, depositors of the closed Mercantile Credit Bank Limited are hereby informed that DPF has commenced payment through mobile money to individual account holders whose account balances were 1 million Uganda shillings or less. Please note that to receive payment through mobile money, the name in your national identification card must perfectly match with that registered against your mobile money number. Payment of individual account holders whose deposits were above 1 million Uganda shillings but up to 10 million Uganda shillings who submitted accurate national identification numbers shall commence on Monday, the 1st of July 2024 and shall be made through Stanbic Bank, Lugogo branch. Depositors should go to the bank after receipt of an SMS notification. Please present your valid original national ID to the bank. Company, joint and trust account holders are required to start submitting their details to the Deposit Protection Fund with effect from Monday, 8th July 2024 to allow verification before payment. Visit our website www.dpf.or.ug for more information about the requirements. Please note that payment of the protected deposits to all categories of depositors listed above shall be made less any outstanding loans or any other obligations to the bank. Payment of deposit amounts in excess of the protected limit of 10 million Uganda shillings shall be handled by Bank of Uganda in line with Section 105 of the Financial Institutions Act 2004 as amended. For any inquiries, please contact DPF on +256 312 206 400 or WhatsApp on 0709 015 012 or email info@dpf.or.ug.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, Baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love Baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior the skin. No more worries anymore. Baby Junior. Baby Junior.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still with us here in UBC News Tonight. In more news this evening, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the Department of Diaspora Affairs is set to launch the Uganda American Diaspora Community in Dallas, Texas. This initiative is meant to bridge the existing gap between Ugandans in America and their home country.
Uganda American Diaspora Community is set to be launched on 6 July 2024 to leverage on exposure of human capital available in the diaspora for the demand back in Uganda.
To make sure that we explain to them how easy it is for them to come and invest here and how safe their investments are when they come to do them here.
Looks to bridge the gap between the diasporans and back home. We are really emphasizing or focusing on identifying the human capital that is in the diaspora that is willing to make a difference back home.
The launch will create a strong network between Ugandans in America and their fellow nationals in Uganda.
I have been invited by the chairperson of the UADC where they are going to inaugurate their diaspora community in Dallas, Texas, which is in USA. And again, here we are going to take this opportunity to bridge the gap that has been there, to make sure that Ugandans are aware of the government programs that are going on here.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs is to liaise with other government sectors to bring about ease in access of services to Ugandans in diaspora.
Sanitized this by applying the term diaspora, which actually diminishes the areas of suspicion between the country and its citizens who are out there. Ugandans are supposed to be one so that they can come together like other countries have done, like our neighbors in Kenya, the Rwandans, the Ethiopians. All these people have forgotten their differences and patriotically looked at the development of their country.
Forthcoming Uganda American Diaspora Community launch in Texas comes after the Uganda South African Diaspora launch. Mario Nawori and Robert Katamba for UBC.
Is that okay?
The Director of Basic and Secondary Education at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Mulindwa Ismail, says the ministry, together with partners, is working hard to address gender inequalities in education. This was during a review meeting organized by Global Learning for Sustainability held in Ntinda, Kampala, where stakeholders and experts gathered to evaluate the policy's impact and chart the way forward.
The Commission of Gender and Women Affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Dr. Angela Nakafero, has called for the embracing of inclusive policies and sustained efforts to empower girls and women through education. This was at a meeting aimed at fostering dialogue on improving educational outcomes for all genders under the theme Achievements Registered and Challenges for Redress, Innovating Strategies to Address Gender Equalities in Education.
In a nutshell, we've made significant gains on enrollment and a positive legal environment. We still have gender gaps between men and women at all levels of education. So Angela, the aim of the second version of the gender and education policy should be able to help us consolidate the gains, but also be very deliberate on addressing emerging challenges.
The Director of Basic and Secondary Education at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Mulindwa Ismail, emphasized the government's commitment to advancing gender equality in Uganda's education system. He highlighted ongoing initiatives and pledged continued support for policies aimed at reducing disparities.
We have also successfully addressed gender issues in curricula and learning materials, reviewed the sector's infrastructure designs to make them gender responsive, promoted the re-entry for child mothers, and reduced gender-based violence in schools.
The team leader of Global Learning for Sustainability, Karen Mukajambo, emphasized the importance of collaborative efforts between government, NGOs and educational institutions to achieve sustainable change.
We must make sure that education development partners and government implements policies and programs that promote equitable access to education to both girls and boys.
Participants at the meeting engaged in robust discussions, sharing best practices, challenges, and innovative approaches to address persistent gender gaps in education.
It has tackled less on the following: the distribution of teachers in schools, the desk and pupil ratio in schools, and then the infrastructure.
And to give all of them chances that are equal, would not segregate them on particular grounds in line with differences and all that.
When we come from rural areas, even poverty, our parents are poor. It's also pulling us out of school. You find out that we are leaving school to get special needs from men, and we eventually end up getting out of school.
The review meeting on the Gender in Education Policy 2016 highlighted both achievements and the urgent need for continued efforts to overcome challenges towards achieving gender equality in education.
They need to make sure that curriculum is gender responsive and strengthening infrastructure that supports girls and access for boys, for everyone, boys and girls, to access education.
Lydia Chomkama and Vincent Wamundo, UBC News.
The Luwero District political, government and technical leaders have been encouraged to work together with the government in the efforts to fight the rampant corruption affecting the country socially and politically. The State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, was meeting the Luwero District leaders at the district headquarters and later monitored various ongoing government-funded road projects. We have more in this report.
Government is committed to fighting the increasing cases of corruption among political leaders and government officials. The State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, cautioned Luwero District political, government and technical staff against involving in corruption to avoid regrets. Minister Dr. Muyingo was meeting the Luwero District leaders at the district headquarters and later visited various ongoing government-funded roads projects among others.
I've already cautioned those who have been messing up with government funds. This is not the time for it. Government is seriously considering taking everybody involved in corruption into taking him on and be handled as the law dictates. So if you have been one of those who have been wasting taxpayers' money, time government has paid for, time is up.
He further encouraged the leaders to leave their offices, go into the field, monitor government projects, and involve communities in the monitoring exercises. This is to avoid shoddy work and the embezzlement of government funds. Accompanied by the district engineer, Canon Godfrey Kasana, among other leaders, they visited Chimwanyi Namakofu Road, Wobulenzi Tweyanze, Kakola, Sekamuli roads.
A lot of money in the country, particularly in the district of Luwero, and many of our people do not know what government has done. It's our responsibility as leaders, right from LC1 up to the minister, to make sure that as we welcome these projects being sponsored by government, we share that information with the masses. It should be on, even if it means doing it on a weekly basis, let's try to understand. A road like this one connecting Wovelenzi to Sekamuli is going to cost government over 50 million. The Wananchi should be told. The Wananchi should own this project as theirs. That's when that will call for supervision, monitoring, as I'm doing.
The resident district commissioner Luwero, Richard Bwabye, commended the government for the parish development model program, which benefited the communities by increasing their household income, and cautioned the beneficiaries against misusing the funds. The communities, among others, Reverend Canon Godfrey Kasana, commended Dr. Miengo for lobbying for the district and educating the vulnerable children. Sodat Kaye and Fred Kasbante, UBC News.
Youth in Ibanda district have urged the government to support their hands-on occupations by providing them with modest startup capital and essential equipment for the smooth running of their workshops. The chairperson of the Ibanda NRM Youth Hands-on Skills Group, Tunomugisha Julius, stated that they have acquired the necessary knowledge and request the government to extend programs like those of the Directorate of Industrial Training to certify them.
In Ibanda district, 80% of the population is youth and 20% are adults. The district has 16 sub-counties where government programs like Parish Development Model, Youth Livelihood Program, UWEP for Women and SAGE for Elderly are being implemented. However, most of the youth in the district are unaware of the 30% they are supposed to receive from the PDM program. The Assistant RDC, Ibanda Banjo Richard, urged the youth to avoid engaging in protests and instead access funds from the Youth Livelihood Program to start businesses.
Ministry of Gender. So for us as youth, when that money bounces to the Treasury, the National Treasury, it is a disservice to us. And how do we know these programs? Let us engage in adornment activities, the youth. Let's not engage ourselves in riots. Let's not waste time to be in trading centers during morning hours. Let us work. If there is some current at your home, you can utilize that land. You can plant coffee. Let us embrace all government programs.
Some leaders in Ibanda claim that people have not benefited from government programs. They note that while the president has supported Ghetto Youth and several organizations have aided street children, the district faces challenges such as high rates of school dropouts and needs similar support.
At least extend a hand in Ibanda, because as I talk right now, we also have the street kids around. We have the dropouts, and the number of dropouts are increasing day by day. And we have other of our colleagues who have failed to get capital. So if they can extend a hand this side, at least in Ibanda, we can be proud of our country.
Through the Ibanda NRM Youth Hands-on Skills Initiative, groups have been formed in various vocational occupations, including motor vehicle mechanics, welding, farming, catering, auto management, and tailoring.
When you have a diagnosis machine, you can put and identify the problem, and you know where to start from. But when you get stuck in Ibanda here, there is no way of that until when you think of taking it back to Kampala.
The youth are asking government to support them with the funds to purchase modern tools and equipment for their garages and workshops.
We are calling upon the government through our His Excellency President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to help us as he always helps like people in Central, to also touch us like Bazukulu here in Ibanda, so that we can also achieve.
They also highlight that although they have acquired this knowledge, they lack certificates to help them find jobs elsewhere, and request the government to extend programs like those of the Directorate of Industrial Training to certify them. Robert Katamba, UBC News.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but return after these messages.
What is a dream? What does it mean to you? To her? To them? It's time we dared to dream anew. Dream bigger, better, bolder. Let's dare to dream of tomorrow, today, of someday, of the hope that comes with change, of a change that transforms lives. That glimmer in your eyes, the prospect of maybe, of all the hopes that we carry. It's the promise of enjoyments, co-enjoyments for you and your mates. A dream keeps us going. It's the one thing that drives us, inspires us, motivates us. One goal, one hope, one dream. With the Uganda National Lottery, your dream can become a reality. Bigger is here. What's your one thing?
Gold. We all want it. That soft yellow glow with subdued sun in your hands. That precious polish of elegance. To hold it is one thing, but to taste it is everything else. Relish the satisfying taste of a beer, unmatched in quality, unmatched in consistency, and with 23 Global Gold Awards. A beer unmatched in gold.
Welcome back from that break, and now into the business scene. Uganda has sustained growth, but at a slower pace. Now, this is according to the 23rd edition of the State of the Economy report released by the World Bank. The economic growth of 5.4% registered in the first half of 2023-2024 financial year was driven by the strong growth in goods, exports, tourism offset, strong import growth, and foreign direct investments. Dennis Segor reports.
The Ugandan economy seems to have weathered several shocks and is currently on a strong road to recovery and acceleration into the medium term. This positive outlook is detailed in the 23rd edition of the Uganda Economic Update by the World Bank. However, the report highlights near-term challenges that pose a major risk in the macroeconomic stability and growth of the country. Key concerns include the rising public debt burden that's projected to reach 51.9% of the gross domestic product (GDP) within 2 years, fiscal management issues, and a narrow tax base.
And for now, Uganda can still pay, but the issue is if the risks increase and they go out of hand, and then that becomes a problem. Countries that have gone into negotiating and trying to talk to the creditors are those that are actually at high risk or have gone into debt distress. When you are in debt distress, it means you are actually bankrupt.
Whereas we are talking about the levels of debt, you must be able to contextualize that into what is the economy we are building for 10 years from today. We are not building the current economy, and you have to prepare yourself for that.
In the first half of the current financial year, gold exports surged to 10% of the GDP, while other non-coffee exports grew by 18%. Imports rose by 3.5% of the GDP, largely to support oil-related investments.
When you look at the private sector in Uganda, it is quite resilient and vibrant. And I think credit must be given to the reforms which we did. It cannot be for any other reason, but the reforms that were undertaken, the market-oriented reforms which actually gave the private sector that space to be able to innovate and also be able to invest.
We will continue to be there to have the discussions around the economic agenda with the Ministry of Finance, our key counterpart, to try and see what else needs to be adjusted going forward to make sure that we continue to sustain our support in ways that helps to build your own sustainability in the long term.
The World Bank report notes that inflation gradually accelerated since October 2023, but remained below Bank of Uganda's target of 5%. Monetary policy remained tight, and real lending rates continued rising and was 14% by 2024, higher than the previous years. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
And into sports, Uganda has been ranked among the best countries in Africa in handling persons with intellectual disabilities. This prompted the Africa Special Olympics body to organize a special training session for coaches to handle people in this category. As our reporter highlights, countries across Africa were represented.
Arua City was a beehive of activity as coaches gathered for training on how to handle persons with intellectual disabilities. With the mission to create a world where every individual, regardless of their abilities, is valued and included, the focus was on specialized coaching training, equipping them with skills to work with athletes with intellectual disabilities. The coaches not only learned the theory, but also engaged in practical sessions, fostering direct interactions with the athletes. The hands-on experience is crucial in building understanding and empathy.
Normally, a coach is a very important person, and without a coach there is no Special Olympics. Of course, the athlete is the most important person, but the athlete cannot learn anything without the coach. So the coach is also very important in the life of an athlete, and most athletes actually value the coaches more than the family members, because the coaches go a long way and they spend a lot of time. They must have patience, they must be very committed, and they must have compassion.
The Special Olympics movement is now present in 41 countries across Africa and is growing rapidly.
These particular activities supporting what government is already doing by integrating those with intellectual disability and skilling the teachers that are supposed to be doing it into how best they can be able to do that at school ground.
West Nile, these few athletes you have seen today here, who are participating here, these are the ones you got in schools. We have many of them at home there. Because of their intellectual disabilities, people neglect them because they feel they are not important.
In Uganda alone, the organization has been making a difference for over 30 years, impacting more than 20,000 people. Through sports, athletes not only develop physical skills, but also gain confidence and joy, showing the world their limitless potential. The coaches assert that working with these athletes has taught them much about perseverance, determination, and the true meaning of inclusion. The goal is to build a more inclusive world, one game at a time.
And with that, UBC News Tonight has come to an end. Thank you so much for your company, but do join us at 10 o'clock for our second edition of UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto. See you at 10.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.